Hello and welcome to my channel where we may be dazed, but we are not confused. We are going to do a listening to seashells reading for the sign of Sagittarius. So what I'm going to do is post 3 different videos, and I'd like you to take a look at the 3 shells that are going to be exhibited in a moment, and I'd like you to pick the one that resonates with you the most deeply. Once you've made your selection, please pick the timestamp below, and I will see you in that video. All right, seashell number 1. So right off the bat, before I even start the reading, I noticed that when I was shuffling the cards, that the cards were jumping and they kept trying to invert and like switch around. So I'm feeling like you might have a lot of high energy. Maybe you might be feeling jittery right now. At the time of this reading, even though it's timeless, there are a lot of transits that are happening, and it's causing, at least from my understanding and how I've been kind of feeling it as well. And I'm not a Sagittarius, but my Jupiter is in Sagittarius. But it's causing people to, if you used to be a person that you were all about good luck and having just unshakable optimism, and just this belief that things will all work out no matter what, a lot of that is being challenged right now, by some of the difficulties that we're coming across. And while I personally don't endorse becoming a negative person to the point where you become pessimistic, because that is extremely detrimental, even in the midst of some of the, the huge transformation and tearing down of beliefs and ideas and social norms and just all kinds of things, systems, it's also not healthy to be overly optimistic to the point where you don't take proper precautions to protect yourself from the reality of what's going on around you. So, ideally you would find this sweet spot in between where you're able to temper a need to be on alert of the changes and possible dangers around you, while also not becoming pessimistic or stuck in a belief of doom and gloom and nothing good will ever go your way. Okay, so I'm feeling for these shell readings there might be, something to that extent going on with that. But with your cards, I have the 9 of Wands in reverse, and then the leadership, set your goals. And for me, the 9 of Wands in reverse is my, it's my mental illness card. So it's like, it's paranoia, being guarded to the point of being paranoid, and feeling like, maybe people are against you, to the point where you're not just recognizing people who actually are against you, but you're also recognizing people that just may have a glimmer of possibility that they're against you, and it puts you on an edge that can become imbalanced. And I feel like this is connected to this energy of, typically being, more of like the happy-go-lucky Sagittarius. Certainly not all, but the stereotype of this sign is that they tend to be very optimistic, happy-go-lucky, make things happen, cheerful, make the best out of everything. Shoot for your goal, the archer, you're able to pull back your bow, shoot for something directly and hit the mark, and it's very difficult right now because that mark is everywhere. And with this 9 of Wands in reverse, I'm picking up that it's like you are trying to take action, but there's so many people that are shooting arrows and hitting marks that seem like they're hidden, like you don't know what they're trying to hit. So whereas before you might have been able to look at your target on the wall, pull back and shoot for it, right now what's happening is that you don't even see the target. It's like it's foggy, but you can hear arrows going off, and some are hitting. That they're hitting because the sound of what it sounds like when somebody's hitting their mark, but you can't see where that arrow is coming from. You can't see where the target is at. All right, you just hear that shh, boom, and it's hitting, and it hit that spot. But for yourself, Whereas you used to be able to pull back your bow and shoot for your mark, and you see it, you put your eyesight on it, and you just go for it. You don't even know where to aim. You don't even know where to aim. All you hear is arrows whizzing past you. And you're probably concerned you might get hit. And I think this to me is more of a manifestation of the transit that we're in and the times that we're in, and the fact that a lot of stuff is hidden and we're not really in control right now. And those who are hitting marks are people who are, some of them are being assisted, you could call it divine intervention or whatever it is, or they're just being aided by being in alignment with what's going on. So I'm picking up that this is not a good time to be solely dependent upon, this is what I want to do, this is how I'm going to do it, and I'm going to make this happen no matter what. Because with the types of energies that we have going on, which is a lot of destruction energy, you run the risk of building up to have it torn back down. And so it makes sense. I feel like what might be wise in this moment is to allow the fog to clear up and to allow the fear of missing out, the fear of not getting something, to wash over you as much as possible, and try to redirect that energy, because I don't feel like it's going to serve in the long term to be shooting blindly for the sake of shooting, and to like be so focused on trying to shoot something if you can't see where the mark is. And you don't know. I get the sense that the mark is being moved around. So they're moving targets. The targets are now moving and you can't see them. So at this point, unless you are deeply tuned in, very tuned in and very much in alignment of what's going on, it's going to be very difficult to hit those marks, because even those people who are tuned in, they still can't see the marks. They're moving, and it's like they're almost hitting them by accident. And it's not an accident. They're not accidentally doing it. They're intending to do it, but they're doing it not by their own might, but by getting into alignment with the energy of what's going on, and putting themselves into alignment with what they're supposed to be doing, and just moving in. It's almost like the Tao, like getting in with that. All right. So one of the things that you could really redirect your energy to kind of give you some peace, so that you don't feel so, unhinged, or just kind of upside down, or, you don't know what side is right side up or upside down, is to try to look around your local area. Try to look within your family circles, your social circles, and see who you could help, what you could do to make somebody else's life better. If you're a person that likes to take leadership and make, maybe projects happen, or, just be an expansive person, try to expand the things that are closer to you or more directly tied to you, that things that you can expand that will help expand the lives of others. So this could be charitable work, donations, donating energy, donating time, concern, whatever it is that you have, and bringing those gifts to others. Okay. It doesn't all have to be financial. It could just be, helping somebody, plan out what they're going to do for the next thing. Case in point, if you have children in school, a lot of the school districts are suffering because they've never been in this situation before. And they're asking parents, like for the first time in a long time for some of them, to like get directly involved. Like, we need help. Like, what do you see happening moving forward? Because we're going to have to work together. So they have committees, and they have all kinds of ways in which you can get involved, because people are, not able to focus and to shoot for a goal. And so I'm picking up, like, instead of looking for a target that's far away, that you're not able to see, try to look for the targets that are in your purview and that other people have difficulty seeing, but because you're such a good archer and you're so good at figuring out just how much pressure to apply and how much to pull back and when to let go, you can bring that as a gift and transmute the anxiety that you have of not being able to do that in the way that you want to, into a momentum that can help others who are, just stuck and, like a deer in the headlights, because they just don't know what to do right now. And I feel like that could be helpful for you, all right? And then when you do this, I feel like when you redirect this energy, it's going to allow you to get your passion back and to take action, to be courageous, to be, back to your optimistic self, because you'll be able to see how you're making a difference in a much more mundane way, but it'll mean everything to the people who are not able to focus on a central thing that they're trying to do. All right. So the Sacred Rebels card that I have for you is free from judgment and free to love. All right. So let's read that. I now release from my body, mind, and heart any negative mothering experiences that would prevent me from receiving the healing grace, love, and support of the Universal Mother through the natural flow of life. May I be blessed and held in her loving embrace so that I may grow into all that I am. So be it. Okay. And your Peace Oracle card is Tapestry. Tapestry is your card. Fill your heart with the creative power to accept the past, decorate the present, and transform the future. Osho. I come to help you heal your past, present, and your future. Beneath the layers of uncertainty, pain, and disappointment, there is perfect peace and the highest wisdom. You are radiant, healthy, and blessed. The inner sacred flame is constant. It unites you with the greatest love of all. Confront a past hurt for clarity in the present and hope in the future. A complex situation requires a concentrated approach. Tackling one big issue will take care of so many smaller worries. Sacred threads of truth and wisdom entwine me and everyone around me. I am strengthened by the strands of the past. I determine my future one stitch at a time. I am the weaver of a strong, enriching tapestry. It is a joy to behold. All right, that is what I have for seashell number 1. If this is your last video, then I may hopefully see you in the future. If not, I will see you on the next video. All right, seashell number 2. So when I was shuffling the cards, I really picked up this energy of, having some anxiety, being jumpy, feeling upside down, and not knowing what to do with the optimistic energy that you typically tend to have in being expansive, hitting the mark, and being able to really go for what it is that you want. And I feel like there's a need to balance out being overly optimistic with being overly pessimistic. And whereas Sagittarius tends to kind of lean more towards being optimistic because you know how to go for what it is that you want and to focus and hit that mark. And so you have more of an expectation that you're going to be able to go out and hunt for what you want and make it work. Being in the energies that we're in right now, with so much transformation taking place and so much destruction and things being brought down, it's a lot more difficult to do that. And if you have the time, I would ask that you could check out seashell number 1 and just get the very brief intro, especially if that's not the shell that resonates with you. And I have more of an explanation about hitting the mark and how that can be a challenge right now and what we can kind of do to transmute that. All right. But I'm picking up that right now, I feel like you're feeling like you need to hold on tight to what you know to be your reality. And for you, that's that you could kind of create whatever it is that you want. I feel like you have a very childlike nature when it comes to the belief that, if you see it and you believe it, you can make it happen, dream it, achieve it, believe it. And all of that is so important. It's so important. But because of a lot of the things that are taking place currently and the way things are changing, there's this sense of maybe you've lost some money or you're losing resources. And now, your material reality may not be reflecting that in the way in which your heart believes it. And maybe before you could do that and your material reality would reflect that. So if you had a dream that you wanted to, make some money, like you come up with a really cool business idea and it would work for you, you could make that happen. Or if you decide you wanted to go on a vacation or you wanted to do like any of these things that require some foresight and planning, you found that you can't do that, and no matter how much foresight and planning that you have, you can't do that when there's such heavy restrictions. And some of this is in the material, and some of it is also, it's in the air, it's energetic. That's what we're going through as a whole. And so there might be a little bit of need to kind of grasp onto what you have, and it might be causing just a little bit of anxiety. I'm not picking up that it's to the point of being debilitating, but I feel like it might be triggering within you, particularly if you grew up in poverty or maybe in a state of lack. It might be triggering some thoughts of that or some memories of that. And whereas you may have worked past that in your own life by kind of developing yourself and learning how to make the things happen that you need by working hard and putting yourself in the right situations and circumstances and all of that, I'm feeling like you're not quite able to do that, and that's just where we are. And that might be triggering some child trauma that you may have experienced from going without. All right. And so that might be making you hold on to stuff more, or to kind of change how you see things or how you view things or how optimistic that you are about your life. But the positive thing about this is, in the midst of all of this transformation that's taking place, you have an opportunity to be like a phoenix that's going to rise from the ashes. And even though this can be particularly difficult for you because, as the archer, you're used to being able to kind of pull back and go directly for what it is that you want, this is going to push you to really hone that even more so. So moving forward, not only will you be the archer, but you'll be the archer who rose from the ashes. You've had your things kind of tear down and not work out, and you've had to be rebirthed anew. But in the process of that, once that takes place, you'll have a head start on making the things happen that you want to have happen, because you already have the skill set and the affinity towards picking out a goal and moving towards it in a way that's going to benefit you and be the most efficient for you. So that's a positive thing that I see taking place. And I also feel like you have a chance to kind of be a leader moving forward, because a lot of people have kind of been knocked on their butts. Like it's very difficult to kind of get your bearings. And once, everything's kind of burned down a bit and the fire kind of dies out and we've got those ashes there, like I said, that's an opportunity for you to kind of maybe galvanize and help other people to set their goals and figure out what is the vision that they have for their future and what it is that they want to try to make into their reality. All right. So I feel like this is going to be advantageous for you because you will have the wisdom to know how to be the hunter and not the hunted. In the midst of this, I feel like there's this sense underneath all of this that, if you are not the hunter, that you are being hunted. There's this sense that you can't see the hunters, but you are being hunted. And I feel that your experience as being a hunter will help others to learn how to hunt for the things that they want. They can create that and go get that in the midst of having so much shift and change. All right. So let's take a look at your Sacred Rebels card. And that card is Be the Hunter, Not the Hunted. All right. I am willing to accurately perceive the truth in whatever life situation is now helpful for my spiritual growth and creative awakening. I feel empowered to commit to myself and my path without fear or holding back. I receive this vision through unconditional love. So be it. With unconditional love, I will be inspired as to how to creatively and consciously deal with this. So be it. All right. And so the Peace Oracle card that I have for you is Truth. So truth is: a quiet conscience makes one strong. Anne Frank. You are forever coming to a truer, more authentic understanding of who you are. As you work through the veils of awareness, the beauty you find may surprise you. Confusion becomes simplicity. Doubt makes way for certainty. When you find peace in yourself, you find peace in the world. Being honest with yourself is a process, and it isn't always easy. A heartfelt realization over a misunderstanding can lead to harmony. There is no one to blame. Rejoice that the veil has lifted. I come to myself with compassion and love. It is safe to reveal who I am. My fears are welcome here. They cannot control me. My hurts are welcome here. They can never haunt me. My truth is welcome here. It is strong and enduring. Every day I discover peace and power in who I am. All right. So that is what I have for you for seashell number 2. If this is your last video, then I may hopefully see you in the future. If not, then I will see you on the next video. Seashell number 3 for the sign of Sagittarius. So when I was shuffling all of your cards out in preparation for this reading, I just really picked up a lot of anxiety and a sense of kind of feeling upside down and feeling like you don't know if wrong is right or right is wrong, and just generally not knowing where to place your optimism and your sense of being able to go after a goal and expect to receive a reward for that, to hunt for something and expect to bring something back. Because we're currently in energies that are just transforming a lot of things, tearing things down, and trying to burn up the chaff, so to speak, so that you can have the things that need the space to grow, have the space to grow. So with all of this, you might be struggling to not be overly optimistic because it's not going to be as helpful. It might actually be detrimental to be overly optimistic in the midst of times and situations where we really have to be real with ourselves about what's going on and what we need to do to align ourselves with the frequency of that which is going to get us to the end that's the most efficient and that is going to be most in alignment with what we really want. So if you're a person that's used to being able to have many different streams of influence, or it could even be streams of income or ideas and projects and just lots of things that you have your hands in, right now is not the time for that, because you need to be able to put all of your resources into one or two things. Most likely one thing that's going to give you the most for the time and effort that it's going to take to sustain that in this energy. So we're being whittled down. With usually, Jupiter is an expansive energy. And I think it's at home in its sign of Sagittarius. I might be wrong on that. You could correct me. But usually that's an expansive type of energy in Sagittarius. But right now, we've got a lot of Plutonian energies that are taking place and coming together with that. And so it's actually just kind of expanding the collapsing and destruction of things as opposed to the expansion of it. And so you might be struggling to find your place in that, okay? But with the Four of Swords in reverse and the Battle of the Blues, I feel like you might be slipping from feeling antsy and a little bit anxious into depression a little bit. And I feel like it's just because you're so used to having ideas and this internal chatter that, you can make whatever you want happen. And you have a lot of experiences of watching yourself do that and knowing that it works. And right now, that's just not what's happening because of what we're in. And it could be making you kind of come out of your place of being centered and feeling at peace within yourself. And feeling as if, maybe there's something wrong with me, or, maybe I did something wrong because I'm not in alignment with getting all the things that I want. And I don't think it's so much that it's not about you. It's more about digging deeply and connecting more with who you are and putting your energy towards that, particularly if you have been known to go after things that may not be your highest joy, or they may not even be your passion. They may not even be things that you genuinely care about, but you know that you could go after them because you know you could get it. And that can apply to a lot of different things. Particularly if it was like financial and you knew you could get a job that you didn't really care for, but you knew that if you put your name in the hat and you went for it, you were going to get it. Or it could be, it could be a car. Maybe it was a car that you didn't really want, but maybe you've had 2 or 3 of them and you could get another one. So why not? And right now that's not what's happening. And I think it's not so much the loss of the things, but it's the challenging of that mentality and that way of being right now that is causing you to kind of slip into the energy of feeling a little blue. And I feel like you might not be able to communicate how you're feeling. And that's what could be causing you some stress. Like you may not feel like talking to others, but I feel like if you can find 1 or 2 people that you could talk to about that it'll help you on a soul level to kind of relieve some of the stress, because I feel like people can give you some pearls of wisdom that are going to like nourish your soul. Because right now I feel like the internal chatter that you had before was, you can go for what you want. If you believe that you can achieve it, just go for it, go get it. It's kind of like that Ariana Grande song. I want it, I got it. 7 rings, if that's kind of the mentality that you were in, maybe not so much from like a materialistic standpoint, but it's like, well, if I want something, I'm going to go get it. That internal chatter that you might have right now may not be reflecting that, and it may not be matching up with your reality. So having a conversation with someone that you really trust can help you to hear from the mouth of somebody else their perspective on how you can kind of get through this, or maybe look at it in a different way so you don't beat yourself up. All right. So, you might be being triggered because of maybe a loss of finances and money. Okay. You may have, maybe you were receiving a lot of funds and now all of a sudden you don't have the same amount. You may have had so much money that you didn't have a budget and you didn't have restrictions. And now all of a sudden you're finding that you do, and you're having to really buckle yourself down. And instead of being that expensive, I can make anything happen, and having that sense of, money is not an option. And it doesn't mean that you have unlimited funds, but you had the feeling that if you wanted to get it, you could. Just being in that energy by itself is enough for people to feel wealthy, because you could have $1 billion. And if you don't feel like you have enough, or you're afraid that you're going to lose it, or you're not sure that you could get it again, then you're not really wealthy, because you might as well be poor. You're still going to have a poverty mindset. But if you could have $20 and that's the last $20 that you have, and you always know that you could get another $20, you'll never run out of that $20, then you're wealthy, And if you're able to get all your needs met and all the things that you need with that $20, and you never run out of $20, you are just as wealthy as a billionaire. And so I'm feeling right now, because you don't feel like you have the ability to get this and replace what you've been losing, or what you've kind of been watching slip through your fingers, is causing you to build up some resentments about money, which are that they have the possibility of hindering you in the future. because it will keep you from being able to believe that you can attract the things that you need, the opportunities that you need, and so on, in order to stay expansive when the time is right for that. So I think that one of the ways you could transmute this is to try to allow this depression that you're going through, this sense of the blues, to lead you to what it is that's really important to you beneath the surface. So I feel like the depression is a grief, it's a loss. It's a grief of a loss of this way of being and existing that you're not able to align yourself with. So I've heard people say that, depression is when you're not in alignment with what you think you should be doing, or your reality doesn't match how you feel on the inside, or something like that. There's something out of alignment. So I feel like there's a need to kind of get through, to cut through that sense of lack, that sense of pain, that sense of suffering, to find what is it beneath that gives you joy no matter what's going on, no matter what you have. So I go back to that $20. What is it that I could have no matter how much money I had, and I could sustain that, and I would be at peace with that? And in that, you find your treasure. And I really feel like that's a lot of what these transits have been about, is whittling down the excess and the things that are out of alignment energetically with being sustainable long-term for everybody. Like if you can expand and expand and expand, but it's not sustainable for people around you, then it's not really helpful. It's not feeding into the greater ecosystem of what's going on. So by taking the time to look beneath the surface at what it is that you really care about, and try to funnel your energy and your attention and your time to that, you will receive fruits that are going to be good fruits from trees that you will always have fruit growing on. All right. And this will require you to trust yourself. It's going to require you to go deep within and really be honest with yourself about what it is that you care about. What are your real priorities? What are your true priorities? What are the things that you could go without? Particularly if you've already lost a lot, ask yourself what it is that you could do without getting back. Like if you never saw it again, what could you do without? All right. And these are the things that you've probably been without for several months already. And, maybe you don't really miss it. And so then try to find the things you absolutely, absolutely, absolutely need, because they resonate just with you at your core frequency in your soul. This is what it's about for me. Getting to that place is going to bring you back to the light. It's going to show you your treasure and your joy, and allow you to have peace regardless of what's going on. All right, so let's read your information for your Sacred Rebels card. It's Trust Yourself. All right. It says, close your eyes and relax for a moment. Breathe in and out. Let your awareness drift away from the worries and day-to-day matters, and settle instead on the feeling of warmth inside your body. Then slowly imagine, sense, feel, or perceive that you have an acorn in your hand. You are standing in nature as sunrise breaks, flooding the horizon with color and light. As you hold the acorn up to the light of the rising sun, something magical happens. Out of the acorn, a hologram shines forth. It is a blueprint of this entire being that is yet to be. You see an acorn in that hologram, but you also see a marvelous oak tree. You see the wildlife that will support and be supported by that tree, the ecosystem of which it is a part. You see yourself holding the acorn up to the rising sun. You see seasons demarcated as rings of time within the trunk of the tree. You see the passing lives of many people that enjoy the oak tree through its long life. Place the acorn down on the ground as the sun continues to rise. Imagine, if you will, kneeling and touching your forehead lightly to the earth in reverence for the genius of growth. That same genius lives within you. All right. So your Peace Oracle card is Trust. And I think it's neat that those two are corresponding with each other. Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. Rumi. Let the walls down. I am with you. Flaunt your need to give and receive love. Let it be your strength. The injustices of the world are like grains of dust against a mountain. They have no impact here. You are strong, ever strengthening, confident of the love that surrounds you. Delegate a task. Resist interfering. Bonds strengthened through adversity. Confidentiality builds confidence in yourself and others. Turn to reliable, steadfast, proven responses and people you know. I have confidence in sunshine, starlight, and love. I trust in dawn, twilight, and peace. Love and peace are as constant and present as gravity. These invisible forces stretch across the universe, binding life within their soft, golden touch. I feel their presence surrounding me, holding me. In their safe and gentle hands, I am home. All right. So that is what I have for seashell number 2. Seashell number 3. If this is your last video, then I will hopefully see you in the future. If not, I'll see you in the next video.